Happy Friday. How you doing? Yeah, I know. You're wondering why am I showing you a box of Dunkin' Donuts? Well, at times I can find how some things tie into other things, even though on the surface they may not seem to be remotely related in the least. But I kind of see a correlation between them. And I'm going to talk about change. Change is not always easy for some people to accept. They get stuck in their ways. And I see it in the car community. I see it in life. What I'm looking at here, some people would probably lose their fucking shit over and have something to bitch and complain about. You know, I go to Dunkin' a few times a week. I went yesterday. I do that once a week, whether it's on my Tuesday or my Thursday. I stop. I bring like four. I get 4 dozen donuts. Bring it for people. At times, if I don't do the Dunkin' in the morning for lunch, I'll call. I'll order like 6 pizzas, 6 large pizzas. Get some pizzas over for everyone. Yeah, my other 2 associates do the same thing. We all do the same thing. Uh, wow, it's getting blurry here. And I get it for us here. I got a half dozen donuts and a couple muffins. Auntie Billy likes her blueberry muffins. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. It's the lighting. Okay, that's better. Yeah, it was the lighting. Uh, and I grab a half dozen donuts. She'll take a couple to work. Sometimes I'll eat one. She'll bring the rest of them in for any of the other nurses at the station that want a donut. There's only like 5 of them on the floor. Some of them, they're the V word. They're vegans and shit. So you couldn't, they'll fucking die before they eat a Dunkin' Donut. They probably think eating a Dunkin' Donut would fucking kill them anyway, so it doesn't matter. It leaves more donuts for people that aren't vegan. I could devote a video to those people. I've been harassed by some of them in fucking supermarket. Anyway, it's a long story. Maybe one of these days I'll get into it. But there's been a lot of change. Somebody would probably bitch. God damn, look at that. $7.29 for 6 donuts. They're crazy. I remember when you got a half-dozen donuts for $2. And they don't stop and think, yeah, that was back in the fucking 80s, you fucking idiot. 40. I have to admit, sometimes, I'll hear things talk about the 80s. They got programming on some TV channels, about the 80s. And instinctively, you want to think like, 20 years ago. It's been 40 fucking years. Okay. In 40 years, the price went up, you fucking asshole. What's the matter with you? You still think it's going to be $2 for a half dozen for the rest of your fucking life? Know what I mean? I think people can be very unreasonable. They just can't adapt to change. Another thing, there was a reason why these were called Dunkin' Donuts. Here, 2 jelly, 2 plain, and 2 apple spice. Now, at one time, the plain were called Dunkin' Donuts, and that was the whole reason why they were Dunkin' Donuts. I'm old enough, I've reminisced down memory lane at times recently, and I kind of like it. It gives me a little checkup from the neck up, as it's called, and it helps me realize the evolution of change in so many areas of life. These were called Dunkin' Donuts. They had like a little handle, like a bump, and that's what you held it by. Your fingers never had to touch this round part of a donut. And people, I don't dunk, but some people like to dunk their donut in coffee, tea, milk, whatever. That's why they were called Dunkin' Donuts, and they were made specifically with that little handle that you held. Your fingers never had to touch that fucking round part of the donut. Now, I look at this, I go, yeah, I kind of miss seeing those little bumps, when I was real young. They taste the same, they're still good. So, what's the big deal? Some people would bitch, see that? Not only are they charging you more, they're giving you less donut because that little extra bump on the end gave you an extra little bite. They're giving you less of a donut for more money. And they'd lose their fucking shit over it. And let it ruin their day. You know what I mean? I don't. I'm old enough to remember a lot of change. I'm old enough to remember when, guys let their cars do all the talking. These days, guys are doing a lot of talking on here. Or their cars don't even fucking run. And the ones that do run like shit. And they seem to have the biggest mouths bragging on the most of their shit. You know what I mean? I remember when it never used to be that way. Today it is. There's change. You know, today, like Sanford, and a lot of people, they hate electronic ignition. They hate fuel injection. Well, in Sanford's case, you know, uh, it is far more efficient, far more reliable, dependable. You don't have to fuck with it. And I think that's the problem for Sanford. Sanford's a fucking dinosaur. He's still stuck back in his 80s or whatever. He only knows what he knows because it's all he knows. And he's not even very good at it. You know, he's proven that. You know, he's proven he's not very good at what he knows. And what he knows is ancient shit. It's ancient. But he likes it because you don't have to fuck with it. He wouldn't get a whole lot of content from something he was building with fuel injection and electronic ignition. He wouldn't have to keep fucking with the points. He wouldn't have to keep fucking with, you know, rejetting it. Oh, I got to rejet it. Oh, I got to change the power valve. Oh, I got to change the spring in the vacuum module that opens the secondaries. Oh, he wouldn't have anything to fuck with. He'd lose half his fucking content. You know what I mean? So I can understand why he's stuck on stupid. That's all he knows. That's all he's capable of. And he needs to salvage any amount of content he can get. You know what I mean? The last thing he wants is a vehicle that sits there, that runs good and looks good, and it's dependable. But, you know, in Sanford's case, I can understand. He's lost touch with the times, with reality. I think he's lost touch with car guys. And hear me out before you try to condemn me, okay? You know, car guys drive their cars. They actually drive them. You can call it a street strip car, call it whatever you want. But you know what we had and what guys still have today? Car that's really cool looking. It runs very respectable. You know, I had a talk with Ryan. You know, I'm on here as Mr. Swinger. Me and Ryan were talking recently, within the last couple of weeks, you know. What's wrong with having a car that runs, you know, mid-13? That breaks 100 miles an hour in a quarter mile. It looks good. It runs good. You can drive that thing around town and have a blast with it. It starts up when you get in it. It's dependable. What's wrong with that? Isn't that enough? 350 horse is more than enough in a car that, you know, even a car comes in at 3,400 pounds. The car will get into a real low 14 flat, dip into a 13. It'll be very respectable. You won't get laughed at. And it'll look cool. And what are guys doing today? The street racing scene is not like it used to be. You either have a street car or you have a strip car. Street outlaws, these are not street cars. You know, a lot of the racing that's going on around, you know, in the private sector, groups that are springing up, these are not street cars. These YouTube guys are not going to have cars like that. They never will. So what they're relegated to is, you know, pipe dreams and wannabes. Thinking they're going to take fucking junk and have a car or something like that. No way, Jose. It ain't never going to fucking happen. Be satisfied with a decent street car. You can drive, enjoy, have fun, and not be junk props that just get parked and yacked about like Sanford has. And a lot of you fucking guys have the same shit too. Fucking junk. You know, I'm old enough to remember a lot of things. When guys with their cars do the talking. You motherfuckers, all you do is talk. I'm old enough to remember, you know, tomorrow's Saturday. Sometimes I miss my childhood. You know, waking up on a Saturday morning, grabbing a bowl of cereal, sitting on the floor in front of a 24-inch black and white console TV and watch cartoons for like 2-3 hours until my mother would start yelling, "Okay, Brian, that's enough. Shut that off. Go clean your room." I'm old enough to remember seeing a telephone on a wall in the kitchen with a rotary dial. I'm old enough to remember when telephones evolved into cordless phones with that base. You had to sit it on to charge it with an antenna. You could take your phone out in your yard now, walk around your house without a cord. I've seen a lot of change. I'm old enough to remember when guys didn't want to have a pair of tits. Well, they did, you know. They just didn't want them on their own body. You know, they wanted them on a girl's body that they could, you know, play with, you know, during foreplay before they had sex. I've lived through a lot of change, and it's going to continue. Change doesn't bother me. because I accept it. It is what it is. Me getting all pissed off over change is not going to stop change. It's not going to revert things back to how they used to be. You know? Fuel injection and electronic ignition is not going to stop me from buying another vehicle. Oh no, I got to make sure I find a real old piece of shit that has points and condenser and a carburetor. No. I don't want to have to worry when I go out there and start it up on a cold winter morning. How about you? See, Sanford, don't worry about that shit. These cars don't get, started in the elements in the cold winter morning on damp, rainy days. Sanford don't worry about all that shit because his cars are not vehicles that are built to be driven, built to be used. They're only props. And a lot of you other motherfuckers too. Tinkering with this, tinkering with that, tinkering with this, tinkering with that. What's the end result? You guys aren't getting any better fucking result than Sanford's ever fucking got. Know what I'm saying? But then again, I know the reasoning behind it. I guess what you use YouTube for is different than what I use it for. Me, fun entertainment. I'm not trying to make a living, a career, make money, make a name for myself, become famous. I don't give a fuck about subs and views and all that bullshit. One thing I can promise you, I will never try to sell you a hat or a t-shirt or a sticker. I will never try to get you, I will never do a live stream. I mean, for me personally. I can't be on here for hours like that. That's way too time consuming. For me, to each their own. Whatever floats your boat, as they say. And, tell you, man, I'm getting ready to chomp. I ate a corn muffin already. So, change, me, I accept change. I guess maybe that has to do with some of my background. You adapt, you overcome, you persevere. And it gives you a better shot of success at obtaining your mission, your goal, your objective. And my goal is to live and be as happy as I can in my life with the people I have in my life. I don't depend on the internet in any form of social media to give me what gives me the most happiness in life. What you choose to do is on you. But yeah, sometimes things are so simple that flies under the radar. Simple thing like this, 6 donuts from Dunkin' Donuts. I looked at it. We enjoy them. I paid $7.29 for it. I'm not bitching and complaining. Some people would. How come? I think they're stuck back in the 70s and 80s. And I think people that can't adapt and grow with the change, they tend to become very miserable in their older years. They become very stubborn. And they do things that are obsolete, non-productive. And when they don't get a positive outcome from it, and they get criticized for it, they lose their shit. Have a great day. Have fun and stay safe. The weekend's here now. Have a great weekend. Have fun and stay safe.